Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our product discovery webinar, and thank you for joining us. My name is Tamara, and I wish you welcome on behalf of myself and InterVenture. For all of you who haven't met us before, who are we? We are a group of 250 people working and growing together, basically. And what do we do? In 5 words, we build great remote teams, and therefore we built some great products. We've been doing that for the last 9 years, and for numerous partners, and but we don't stop there. We are actually helping our partners to be more efficient and more effective and more successful through our own team model and team augmentation and managed freelancing and consultation program to partners workshops and consulting on various topics. You can see all of these things on our website, intervention.info, after the webinar, so you can see how can we help you and what we can offer. I'm very happy that my guest today is a long-time friend of mine, Pegan, who is a product manager with 20 years of experience in software industry, from fintech companies to outsourcing startups to consumer and B2B products. She is also a founder and organizer of Serbian Product Community Meetup Group, and she is involved in several different initiatives that help development of Serbian IT community. You can ask any questions using chat and Q&A option on the bottom of your screen. And if you understood everything, please click raise hand button and we can start. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I hope you will enjoy this webinar and find something useful for you and your team. Recording will be posted on our YouTube channel, so you can watch this video again if you like and share it with your colleagues. Anna, welcome again, and the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks for this introduction. Yeah, so today's webinar is, I hope that it will actually be a sort of two-way street, that it's going to be more of a conversation rather than just me presenting. I will give you a handful of opportunities to actually communicate with me, so don't worry. You can also ask questions at any time, post them on chat. Tamara will interrupt and read them to me as we go along. Yeah. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, so just a sec. Oh, wow, okay. Okay, so here we are. Okay, so even though Tamara told you a little bit about me, she hasn't actually told you about what I have done. So I've participated in building several products. I actually started my product career at eFront, building software, or rather products for investment fund and venture capital companies. Then I went to TomTom and I started there with fitness watches, but it was of course the embedded software, but not just that, the whole ecosystem, so mobile, desktop, web. And within TomTom, I transferred to navigation at some point. So I worked on personalized navigation, which was a machine learning project. And I worked on the routing, which is the main feature of the navigation. And now, for the last, since November, for the last, I think, 9 to 10 months, I'm in To Desperados working on one of their games, Viola's Quest. For those who don't know, To Desperados is a local gaming startup, which is in the growth phase. So we're rapidly growing and developing further. In that sense, I'm not an expert on product development in the sense that I'm just a practitioner, and I have some experience behind me, and the whole talk today is actually coming from that side, from side of my experience and my knowledge so far. So what I wanted to start with is just the sort of quick check with today's place where we are and the current situation that we're in. So I just wanted to sort of reflect on our lives, BC and DC, or rather before Corona and during Corona. So if you take a look at the business and how it was done before Corona started, if someone was going to tell you at that point, did you know that the majority of global business can be done only online without the actual face-to-face interaction? What would you have believed it? I mean, from the experience that you had up to that point. So any comments? Feel free. Yeah? No? Tamara, you have to read me because I don't see the chat.
I will. I'm looking there.
Okay. Yeah. Well, for me, to be honest, I never thought it would be possible. When everything started and the whole isolation started, I was just waiting to hear the news that the market broke and that the whole global crisis is coming, and that we're just waiting for the doomsday, where everything's gonna come crashing down.
Well, John is saying like, no, yeah, I felt pretty strongly that there would be needs to an office culture. Now I'm not sure.
Yeah, okay, cool. Well, yeah, but I know that a lot of people at that point were sort of scared for their jobs, and the companies were scared whether or not they're going to go out of business, because nobody was actually prepared for that particular situation. They weren't sure where they're going to go from there, But now we're sort of in this period of time where we already experienced this isolation and working remotely, businesses functioning online, and it seems that it's not that bad. I mean, it's not fantastic, but it's not a doomsday. Nothing's gonna crash, not at least on the level that I was expecting. So what changed? What happened during this initial couple of months, and how did the businesses actually manage to turn things around? Does anybody know? Any ideas? Yeah, feel free to chat. No? Okay. Well, initially, yeah, I'm sure you're quite aware of this situation. Everybody was in panic. It was panic all over. Like, everybody was thinking, oh my God, from my personal perspective, I'm now locked in my home. So how will I get the groceries? How do I get some basic services that I need? What's going to happen with school, with my job, all those things. And the businesses were panicking in the sense, oh my God, we're not going to get the customers coming in. How will we ever do business? How will we ever earn money? Will we survive this? Is there anything that we can actually offer them in this situation? And so on and so on. And all that actually created a sort of conversation. Yeah, it was digital, it was online, but still a conversation, or rather shouting. Just imagine a sort of crowd, a huge crowd, where everybody's, talking and everybody's shouting their own thing. However loud they're shouting, you're not gonna hear it. But if you have like a scattered group of people that are shouting the same thing at the same time, those voices are gonna get through. So all the companies actually needed to hear and to understand is to hear, to listen to those voices that are not the loudest, but that have the greatest volume in terms of number of people. So instead of companies going to search for the needs of their customers, they just needed to stand still and listen to what's coming to them. that was sort of a big change, because then what they did is they started experimenting really rapidly, doing experiments in parallel. But also it was a sort of situation where businesses were thinking, if we don't survive this isolation period, we're not going to have a company anymore. So it was sort of do or die situation. They needed to do something in order to survive. So they sort of suppressed all the thinking about the risks and the budgets and, you know, different things that actually come up when you want to create a new product or a new service. So they just started experimenting, putting on the market different things, just different prototypes of services and products that they heard their customers asking for. And this really sort of expanded their opportunities, and they were able to validate quickly their prototypes and to actually release them in production and be ready to serve their customers and their users. And so all this, if you can imagine, is actually what our talk is going to be about. It's a process of product discovery. So we're going to talk about the steps of the process within the organization, the team that does it, and the importance both from the business and the team side. So what is product discovery? Product discovery is an iterative process that's there to reduce or mitigate the risks around creating a new product from just an idea and needs of users. So we want to get to build the right thing for the right people, right? And the sacrificing product discovery usually gets companies to the disconnect between the user needs and what they're bringing to them. So the 4 big risks that Marty Pegan identified in his book Inspired are value risk, usability, feasibility, and business viability risk. So value risk is the customer going to buy what we're building? Do they really need it? And do they really need it that bad that they're going to spend money on it? Usability risk, will they figure out easily on their own how to use it? Feasibility risk, do we have the knowledge and the resources to actually build this product? And business viability risk, will this product be a viable part of our business? Will it fit in everything else that we're doing? Or will it break something on the side, you know? This is how product discovery is usually described, like 2 parts. One is on the problem side and the other is on the solution side. What this actually means is we want to start thinking not about the product first, but rather about the problem that we want to solve and what is that problem, and therefore who are we solving it for. Product discovery main focus is on the problem space, and then solution space comes out of that. So we start with a challenge. Usually challenge is drawn from company vision. For instance, let me give you an example. So we have Google that says they want to provide access to the world's information on 1 click. And now when I tell you this, you can actually think about their products, you know, and what they have done. And all of their products are there either to really give the access to the information or to gather the information in order to give access to it. Also, let's take another example, for instance, Instagram. So what they want is to capture and share world's moments. And now when I tell you, it's sort of, well, yeah, that's what I did. I mean, the entire world and its moments, and yeah, we're sharing with everyone. So it's kind of clear. But when you start with this sentence, like to capture world's moments, I mean, you have no idea what your product is going to be. And that's a good thing, because it gives you freedom to actually explore and to find what is at that moment the most important problem to solve for your users and customers. So based on that vision, sorry, based on that vision, what we try is we try to identify who are all the potential people that are going to be influenced by this change. This is also something that the companies are discussing when they're discussing the initial business and the setup of their initial business. You know, in what space are they going to be? Sorry, this is my allergy acting up, so I apologize in advance.
Don't worry.
Yeah. Okay, so who are all the potential users, or rather participants, in this particular topic, in this area that we want to grow our business? So how do we identify them? How do we start the communication with them? And initial communication and initial understanding of their problem is not to offer the solution that we think would be right, but rather to actually explore how they do things at this moment in that area that we want to look at. So this is quite, there's a book called Mom's Test. Patrick Fitzpatrick wrote it, and it's quite nicely described how you actually interview your potential users in this area. So, and it's called Mom Test. I don't know if you read it, if you know it. It's called Mom's Test because, yeah, when you come to your mom and say, oh, Mom, look, I built this amazing product and it does this and it does that, you know, will you use it? Do you think it's useful? And your mom, being your mom, she's going to say, yeah, honey, it's beautiful. It's great. I would use, oh, can I buy a dozen? You know, and then you find that those products are actually somewhere in some box on the attic. She never used it because it's your mom, you know, she's gonna tell you whatever you want to hear. So instead of putting your users in the same position, you want to actually open your field of research and just observe on what and how they're doing at the moment, and talk about where they already see some issues and where you can actually help them either organize better, speed up the process, automate it completely, and so on and so on. And that part is sort of diverging part of the problem space. So you're looking at this white canvas and all the things that are there. And then you have to synthesize the data that you gathered from your users to actually define the list of potential problems that are worth addressing. So, and worth addressing, that would mean that there's enough pain around that problem that really a product, a tool would actually bring benefits to the user. And then that there's enough urgency needed on that, because if it's something that's nice to have, you know, like, I'm not going to use it, but if I really need it, like it's going to really urgently right now going to help me, then it sort of brings up the value. And then a sort of third layer on top of that, if there are a lot of potential users that are going to benefit, then it's even better, because you're going to help the biggest part of your potential market. So then you're going to sort of prioritize the problems based on their value. Do we have because something is blinking, do we have a comment or a question?
Yes, we have one question. What is the best way for information gathering from potential users? Okay,
that's kind of, it's a hard question because there's no one way. Like there's no best way. There's best way for you, your team, your company. And that's really hard to say because it highly depends on the business you're in, where are your customers, how do you communicate so far with them, have you identified them at all? If you have you approached them? If you have you established a regular communication channel or not? And then if you have, is your relationship with them good enough to actually execute some experiments and for them to allow you to observe them and to interview them? So it's kind of, there's no one way. There are many ways to do this, but it really depends on the overall situation you're in.
Sorry, we have one more question. How would you overcome the customer's attitude of you should be the one consuming up with initiative, you should be the one coming up with innovative solution, don't ask us?
Yes, but we haven't had, we are not in the solution part yet. We're just looking at where they have a problem, you know, if they have a problem, and if they do, where they have a problem. So this is still not a solution. So if I tell you I have a problem with, I don't know, give me something. Give me an example. I have a problem with traveling. Like my booking agent is really terrible, and I wait for a long time for response, and I need something that's gonna be a sort of instant communication towards them. So my pain point is not, I'm not talking about how we're gonna solve this, but my problem is the speed of the communication or the return information from my travel agent. So we don't know what the solution is. It can be just, you know, put a person that's going to check and refresh email regularly and answer right away. That could be the solution. We don't know, but this is my problem. So we're trying to figure out what are all the problems that our users are having, where potentially we could help and find a solution for them. So when we have that sort of top problem, okay, we have something else. It feels like I'm not going to move from this slide. Don't worry, yeah, this is what it's all about. Yeah, go ahead.
There's a lot of talk about design thinking. I don't see any difference in between design thinking and product discovery defined in the way on your slide. Is there a difference, and what does it consist of?
Excellent. No, this is actually a slide from design thinking, because product discovery could be done through design thinking, and it's done, sometimes it's done through design thinking. But you have to remember, design thinking is just one method of doing this. There are many other ways to do this. But yes, you're right. It's this particular picture, it's exactly like design thinking. And yes, product discovery can be done through design thinking. I don't know if I answered.
Yeah, she says thanks.
Sure. Okay, so when we have this top problem that will bring the most value to our user, we are actually starting to ideate, to create different ideas on how this particular problem can be solved for our users at this moment. And the ideation part is the sort of creative part of this process. And it's really greenfield. You can dream, you can do whatever your capabilities are, you can go in whatever direction you want. And that's the whole idea in this ideation part, to be as impossible as you can at that moment. Even if it seems unrealistic, it doesn't matter, because out of those unrealistic ideas come innovation. And that's why it's important to have this sort of ideation section, which allows the team working on the problem to dream big. Then when we come to the prototype building, we actually need to look at all the ideas that have been created, but look at it from a sort of more practical point of view to see which out of all those ideas is actually feasible. So do we have the knowledge? Do we have the resources? If we don't, can we get the resources? Can we get the knowledge? Do we want to do that or not? And not just that, but also that question, how does this solution, if we take it that way, how does this fit in our business? Because if we're like, I took the booking agent example. So if we are in tourism and in that particular industry, do we want to go into the transportation? Or, you know, like, does that make sense to us? I would say no. But, you know, so the booking agent needs to be somewhere on that line in that industry. So what makes sense for our business as well. And then to sort of, again, prioritize the ideas and to select the one that's most feasible. So we already have everything in-house, and it makes total sense from our business point of view to actually build it. Building a prototype, again, depending on the company and the process they have, can be a very simple prototype or can be quite elaborate. It also depends on the solution that we're building. But in this stage, in the stage of product discovery, especially if it's a first iteration of prototype, it should be the cheapest, the quickest, quick and dirty, the quickest way to actually build a prototype. And it's often recommended that at this first iteration, prototype should be made of paper. So basically just a simulation of the potential solution, not the solution itself. And to test this prototype with the actual users. Sometimes, again, I'm coming back to one question that we had at the beginning, depending on how we're communicating to our users, testing is possible directly with users, or sometimes it's not. So we need to even simulate that part of testing to sort of imagine what our users would be behaving and how they would behave and how they would use the prototype. I saw a question. Is there a question?
No, there is not a question now. You can continue, and maybe you can answer on the questions later after the presentation.
Sure. So this is sort of how the process goes. And even though this picture shows it as a sort of linear process, it's not. It's a cyclic process. And there are different ways to set up this process within the organization. This is one example, again, from Marty Pegan. He calls it dual track Scrum. It shows, as I'm sure you're all aware, within the agile organizations, especially those using Scrum, we have this continuous product delivery, which is a cyclic process. And with that, product discovery should also be sort of cyclic process. He is describing the product discovery as potentially an independent process that intersects at one part with the product delivery. So once the discovery team actually validates a certain prototype, it can become a valid idea and it can be put into the development backlog. And then development team could take it into the product delivery all the way until it reaches the user. We get the feedback which could initiate a new idea and initiate a new cycle of product discovery for that new idea. This is not the only way to do it. There's another view on how product discovery can be done within the organization. Those are parallel tracks. This picture is from Tim Herbig's blog, but it's also something that Teresa Torres, who is a speaker and a coach on the product discovery, she's also giving this as a best way to approach to the continuous product discovery. So not to have a separate cycle or a separate team doing product discovery, but actually to integrate a product discovery process within the product team and within in parallel with the product delivery process, so that the team is always implementing something within the product delivery process, but also doing discovery of some new ideas alongside of this. That really depends on how the organization is set up. But what doesn't depend on the organization setup is the time allocation within this process. So as I already mentioned, the product discovery process is more about the problem. So what are we solving rather than how are we going to solve it? So we want to focus in this process, we want to focus mostly on the problem side. Yeah, we want to validate it, but we shouldn't spend that much time on that section. So the focus is mainly on the on the user research and on the synthesizing of the data from the user research, prioritizing ideas and finding the most valuable one. That's where the most time should be spent. And then the ideation and the validation, rather prototyping and validation itself, should take much less time. So it's 60% on the problem and like 40% on the solution side. And whether we take a look at the dual track or we're doing the parallel track, one thing is for sure, the knowledge needed to actually do the product discovery is the same. And we're talking here about knowledge, domain knowledge and understanding of the market, but also knowing how to do user research and product design, having the technical knowledge and data analysis, and of course the basic business knowledge. So however the discovery team is set up, they need to have this knowledge within the team. And I'm sure you're aware that different organizations have different roles, and those roles have different division of the responsibility and knowledge between them. But let's say that a sort of most common setup would be to have somebody from product design doing the user research and the product design side. So usually they're called UX, so user experience designers, but also someone from the product management side, whether it's called product manager, product owner, really depends on the company, but somebody who has domain knowledge and understanding of the market and the basic business knowledge. And then somebody from the technical side that has both the technical knowledge and maybe even data analysis knowledge. And those three three profiles have to be within the discovery team. And so if a product team is actually doing their own discovery, they already have this within a team. It's a given because those are all the knowledges that, all the knowledge that is anyway needed to develop the product. So it's already there. But if this is done due to the scaling, maybe, if this is done by a separate team, then the organization needs to take care that all these knowledges are covered within this specialized discovery team. Okay, so if this is like so obvious, so you would say that all the companies are using it, right? Like, why wouldn't they? It's that logical, right? Well, startups usually have to use it because without that, they don't know what the users need, or they don't know who are their users. So somehow they're driven and forced, they have to do it. If they start directly from the solution space saying, yeah, we're gonna build this product, without actually doing the whole discovery, without actually checking if it's needed, who needs it, in what way, and doing the whole problem space, they're going to fail. That's highly likely that they're going to fail. So startups, in their sort of search and validation of their business and product, they intuitively go in this process. And what about the bigger companies, the already established companies? So unfortunately, no, not everyone is using it. It's due to the different issues. Sometimes when a company actually takes off, startup takes off, and it starts in this growth phase, they are so focused on this one product to actually expand it further and expand their market. They already have like this backlog of problems that they initially identified, and they feel rather confident about what the next thing is. So they feel like product discovery at that point could be a distraction. So they sort of go. And they go through all the items that they already know and have. For larger companies, it happens, unfortunately, quite often that they get sort of complacent. They're a large company, they have already established products, they have a lot of customers, maybe even long-term customers. They have a relationship with them, so they know what they want. They maybe even communicate with them on a daily basis. So why would they need to do the product discovery? They already know where they're going and what their customers need. Sometimes it's just the lack of knowledge and understanding about what product discovery is or why it's needed. Sometimes the setup of the organization is too big or not agile enough, so they don't have these short cycles where they collect the feedback. Maybe they don't know how to collect user feedback, or they don't have direct communication with their users, and so on and so on. There could be many, many reasons for this. But why is the product discovery actually important for a business, for a company? Well, it keeps the product relevant in the sense of that technology is developing, competitors are developing their products, so you need to keep up. You need to stay relevant on the market, and you need to have that competitive edge. What is the specific value, the differentiator between you and your competitors, that the users are going to choose your product over theirs? So they have to keep up, and they have to sort of bring the new things into their products in order just to keep the business they already have. They also need to create the new business. So product discovery, I already mentioned, is a process that can create innovation. And the innovation is important for companies because it gives them longevity. It gives them an option to have a long and prosperous life. Growth, it allows the companies to actually expand their using products, either expand them for the existing users by giving them more options, or expanding for potentially new users of the same product, or expanding by adding new products to their portfolio, and so on and so on. It could also be to actually avoid costs by thinking in a sort of a long term. There could be some solutions that would make this product sort of future-proof, so that we don't have to invest in fixing things, in technical debt, refactoring, if we have this sort of innovative approach and always thinking on how to do things better, faster, with more quality, and so on. It could also help with reducing costs, because at the end of the day, not only users are benefiting from the product, but also company, especially if the company is offering additional services for that product, which is usually support, maintenance, and so on. So the more efficient those things around the product are, we can reduce some of the costs that are already there, or some costs that could come along the way. And the next thing is the importance of product discovery from team perspective. So instead of continuing with this, I want to do a sort of exercise, just so a little simulation, just so you can feel the importance of product discovery for the team. So I would ask you to just take pen and paper. It's going to be just for you. You are not going to show me. Yeah, whatever you do, it's just for the purpose of this exercise and the experience of the exercise itself. Okay, so if you have this, okay. So the idea is we're going to simulate the creation of the product. So for the purpose of this exercise, I'm going to be your manager. So what I want is to actually tell you what we're going to build today. So you need to draw two circles, approximately the same size, that are in parallel to each other. Then once you draw the two circles, just tell me, by the way, if I need to go slower. So if you draw the two circles, I want you to draw a triangle that's between them. And the triangle is going to be positioned so that one side is connecting the tops of these circles. The other side is going to be a tangent on the right circle. And the third side of the triangle is going to connect this tangent and the top of the left circle. Then you're going to draw an ellipse that's sitting on top of the right circle and the triangle. And on the left side, on top of the left circle, you're going to draw a line that's in 90 degrees angle, so straight up from the circle and then on the right. And there's a comment, I think, in the chat.
Yeah, there is one question.
Sure.
One question, yeah. Shall we continue with this, and when we can answer this later?
It's not related to the exercise.
No.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay. So hopefully you're done. And what I wanted you to draw is this. So I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions, and please answer in the chat. So when we started and throughout this process, did you feel any ownership over the things you're doing?
John said not even close. No.
Cool. Okay. Did you feel the purpose?
Not at all.
Do you know? Okay. Did you feel the sense of achievement, like you did something?
Nope. Everyone's saying, of course not.
Okay.
Vanya says meditative, but no.
Cool. Okay. And what about, well, just the general sense of the mastery? Do you feel like you are now masterful in drawing or in geometry or in any aspect?
Nope.
Cool. Okay. So we're going to do 2 more versions of this. It's going to be quick, I promise. So let's go to another one. So for the second one, I'm again your manager, but this time I'm just going to give you, okay, so here are the resources. These are the elements that are available, and you can use all of them or some of them however you want. But I need you to draw me a vehicle. And I'm going to give you a minute, and please come up with 3 different options of vehicles with these elements. Okay? I started a timer. It doesn't have to be perfect, it's just for you. Please finish up, 10 more seconds. Okay. Done. So let me ask you now, did you feel the purpose of this? What you're building? Do you know? Do we have any comments?
Yeah, we have one, and she said no.
Okay.
There
Did you feel
no.
yeah. Okay. So was the feeling of sort of ownership better now than in the first one?
A bit.
Okay.
Better. Yes.
Okay. Cool. What about the sorry?
Yelena said somehow.
Okay, cool. What about the mastery? Do you feel like you've been challenged a little bit more than in the first one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we all agree. A bit more, yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, so just to compare, we're going to do a third one again quickly. So now I am your customer, and I have an actual problem, you know. in my line of business, transportation is really everything. And I've been really struggling with the currently available transport options. So nothing that's currently on the market actually helps us. We need something that's going to be really so much quicker than anything available at the moment. So I need to be able to transfer just one person. It doesn't have to be multiple, just one person from point A to point B, much faster than, as I said, anything at the market at the moment. And I want this to really be friendly for the environment and easy to use and sort of available at all times. If I can carry it with me, that would be perfect, because then I can use it whenever, instantly, to transport myself. So please, I need 3 solutions from you, just however outrageous they are. I'm aware that there are limitations with current technologies, but just do your best and try to think of some ideas how you could help me. I'm going to give you a minute, and please come up with 3 possible solutions. Here we go.
Full concentration mode.
Yeah. Okay, we have 10 more seconds. Please wrap up. Okay. So I really do trust you. So I want you to take a look at your 3 ideas that you created, and I want you to pick one that you think is most feasible to do at this moment. And I'm giving you carte blanche, and you can create the prototype for that, and I want to be able to test it. Okay? So I'm going to show you my crazy idea just to make it more fun. So my crazy idea is to actually think about how a transporter from Star Trek would look today. So if it could fit on your mobile phone, or a gadget that's like your mobile phone that fits in your pocket. Okay, but let me ask you this. So we had 3 different exercises. So comparing to the first 2, did you feel the purpose for this particular exercise? Did you feel my pain as a customer?
I'm going to read the comments. Yeah, yes, and again, yes, and definitely yes.
Okay. So what about the sense of ownership? Was this yours? Did you feel it that it's yours?
Definitely.
Okay. What about the mastery? Did I push you out of your comfort zone?
Yes, they agree a bit.
Cool. Okay. So when we're talking about product discovery as a process and the importance of it from the team perspective, it really clearly defines the purpose for the team. So why we're doing what we're doing. And it gives them a clear goal, what they want, what they need to achieve. So they have focus. And because all the decision making is on the team, they feel the ownership. They feel it's theirs. And therefore, they're really trying to empathize with user. So it raises the level of empathy that they have. And not just that, they get emotionally invested themselves in what they're doing. And of course, they have the higher sense of achievement because it's theirs, because they did it on their own, they know why, and the achievement is much higher, the sense of achievement is much higher. And not just that, it sort of pushes them to improve on their mastery, because with every new product discovery cycle, they need to think of new ideas, of new ways, of new solutions, of new problems to actually identify. That's not easy either, believe me. And therefore their engagement is sort of rising along with each other and the product, and therefore the company they're working for. And it's not just that, they get the real sense of camaraderie because they're together in the trenches, you know, they're digging deep for the problems and digging deep to gather the data to understand their users, and also to build something quickly that they can use to validate what they have. So it sort of really makes the team stronger. So what we have actually learned today. Product discovery helps build user and market relevant and competitive products. It helps company initially to understand the needs of their users, their customers, and it enables company to keep up with competitors so that they're doing well on the market. It enables them to extend their possibilities with the innovation, with extending existing products, adding new products. And it also helps them to lower the risks of creating new products. But not just that, product discovery helps build engaged and motivated and high-performing teams. It allows them to understand their users, their domain and market. It keeps them focused on solving the right problems, and it allows them to actually recognize the biggest value that they can bring to their users. And that was all from me for today. So yeah, questions, please. All questions are welcome.
Thank you, Anna. We have one question. It says, once you have released the new functionality, what are your thoughts or findings about the best way to notify the user about those changes so you can get them interested and excited? Is it personalized email, in-app notification, or something else?
Well, from my experience, the earlier you involve them, more interested and invested they're going to be. So if you involve them during the product discovery, that will be your highest engagement that you can get from users. If you just ask them at any point that when you're testing, when you're validating, just ask them for feedback. Again, you're going to get the higher engagement once you release. They're going to be asking you what's happening with this, not even if they need it or they don't need it, but rather because they had something to do with it. So I would actually say as soon as you can. If you, again, depends on the company, on the setup, on the relationship that you have with your users. But if you can actually talk to them while it's just an idea, that's the best engagement you're going to get. and you're gonna get free volunteers for testing and for actually participating in all the activities that you need users to participate in order to really get the value. But it also brings the engagement from the user side. And even though it's usually a limited number of users, the very fact that they're participating, they're talking about it. They're talking to their networks, they're spreading this on social media, they're just boosting your overall traffic and your user acquisition is going to be that much easier. So we had this set up in TomTom Sports while we were working on fitness watches. We had a whole community of users, highly engaged users. They really loved their product. They kept asking and waiting for anything new that they can get. They were our best beta testers, and some of them even alpha testers. So don't wait at the end. At the end, you're going to do this through marketing and through product launch activities, but do this along the way as much as you can, as much as the company and users allow.
Thank you, Anna. When is the best time for starting promoting our product?
Again, the engaged users are the best marketing tool that you cannot buy. There's not amount of money that you can throw at the marketing that actually your users can create for you. So to promote the product, usually companies do that at the very end, just before the release. There's a whole series of activities that are happening about the launching product launch section. But really, if you can take advantage of engaging them sooner, that will be that much easier when you get to the launch part. We usually do, especially now in the gaming industry, the promotions and everything, it's that much quicker, easier, because there's something new all the time. The market in gaming is really rapid. So you always, when you have a new idea and you are doing the first iteration of solution, you have to be aware that the first iteration is always a validation, always. And each new iteration is again validation of that iteration. So you're always checking up your stats, checking up how things are doing. So you also want to announce every time that you did a change, you want to announce something regarding that change. Because yeah, there are existing users that you're going to collect data from, but you also want fresh eyes. You also want new users to be included to actually receive the data from them as well. So again, depends on the product, on the industry, on the company setup, and on the users and your relationship with them. I don't know if I answered.
Yeah, she said, thank you very much for your answer. Any more questions? Oh, Daniel says, thank you guys for setting up this webinar and also for the presentation. It was very interesting. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you for participating.
We have one more question. You talked about prioritizing the client's problem that the product solution should solve. What methods would you suggest to prioritize the client's problems?
There are different ways to prioritize, and I did mention one that I actually use for the problems themselves. That's what the problem is solving in terms of how frequently the user would use it, how urgent it is for them, whether it's something that they do, like if you do something once a month, it's not the same level of urgency like if you're doing something daily, or if you're doing something like constantly, you're checking something constantly. If you're having problems in that type of area, that's going to raise the priority for me. Then if it's not just one user doing this constantly, but rather you have multiple users, and the bigger the amount of users that this is affecting, the bigger the value will be. So it really comes down to the biggest impact that you can create. That's what I usually use for the problem prioritizing. But really, any type of prioritizing would be more than great.
Okay, she said thanks for the answer and for the great presentation.
Thank you.
WSJF, cost of delay, costs of duration sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, can be. You can use that as well, of course. Wait is short is job first. That's what the WJ, that's a method of prioritizing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Valid one.
Okay, perfect. If we don't have many more questions, maybe we should wrap it up. Yeah, no more questions. Okay. Anna, thank you very much for your time today. Let me just stop this. Continue. Can review? Yeah, here I am. Thank you for participating in this webinar. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you everyone for joining us. Feel free to follow us on social media and to see what are we planning to organize in the future. We hope you enjoyed this webinar and you heard something interesting and new for you and your team. Ruth says great session. Thank you. Thank you. Really sorry I missed the start. We will post this video on our YouTube channel so you can watch it if you like. Thank you again. And
thank you everybody for playing with me. You were so kind. And thanks to InterVenture and Vida and Tamara for setting this up.
See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.